When this 2014 Holden Commodore came up for an insurance auction, there was no way that your mate non-Rasputin was going to let it slip through his fingers. This thing here was definitely destined to be a parts car or head straight to the wreckers. I could see by its checkered past that this thing here had some potential. Let's check it out.
Hey guys, welcome to the channel. This is non-Rasputin, as again we have another one here. It is a 2014 VF Commodore. Come on, let's take a look. As you can see, the damage is really just concentrated on one part of the car. So if we just take a look through here, so the obvious is the bumper has been smashed up, headlight's gone, this control arm here is bent, which means that this wheel is shooting off that way, and it should really be shooting off this way. Bonnet, not so bad, definitely repairable. It's aluminium, so it's a little bit harder to work with. Got a bit of a rail damage here, but not so structural, pretty easy to fix, just need to basically bend it back into place. Let's take a look at the rest of the car. So this is a Girlracer car. First clue, smelly stuff. We come around the car, everything's nice and tidy. Hardly any scratches on the side. Biggest giveaway is around the back. Dead giveaway, you've just been passed by a girl. Wow. Gas, grass, or nobody rides for free. Classy. Rest of the car is brilliant. So if we take a look in the boot, thankfully all the smashed up parts have been included, which can be a little bit harder to find these days. Check out inside, bumpers included, as well as a few other guards. Sweet. Right. So now I have the wheel off, and I've got a really good view of what's actually happening in here. So if I take a look here, so first of all, impact is on the front. It's made a little bit of damage here, but that's pretty superficial. It's taken off the plastic section of the radiator support. This is bent over, that is bent over, so it's slightly misshapen. We come down here and we see where the bulk of the damage is actually, and that's that control arm there. And so this arm here, that should be straight, so that needs to be replaced. And if I look here at the radius arm, the boot is split, but that's just normal wear and tear. So we'll replace this one at the same time, replace the control arm, and then that should sort out this side, and the wheel should be pointing in the right direction. The strut looks fine, no issues there, it's nice and straight. It's not malformed or deformed or anything like that. Another thing to watch is, again, these mounts here, none of them have torn out. This one here hasn't torn out or sort of, given you an elliptical hole or anything like that, but we'll soon see once we actually pull that apart. Brake rotor looks fine. So let's get into it. Right, to get to the mounting for the control arm, we need to take this cover off here. Now we need to get the other side of the control arm, so we'll just loosen this bolt here. So here is the one that is pulled out, pretty bent, and here's the new one, so quite a difference. If we go to the radius arm, so I haven't pulled out the old one yet. This is a really good second-hand one off a low K vehicle. You see here the boot's really good, looks nice and newish, even if it's a bit dirty. Where possible, I go for a brand new part. If there is a excessive time delay, or it's way too heavily priced, then I will go for a second-hand part, as long as it's decent and from a low K vehicle. And always give it a good inspection, make sure there's no cracks around any of the rubber joints, make sure that the boot is all good, and that it's in good serviceable condition, and pop that on. Removing this radius arm, same thing, take off the bolt underneath here, and then up the top, that top mount. The car will need a good wheel alignment after this. No surprises, because it has had a big smack, but we were going to do that anyway. Okay, important thing to note, that when you put your new radius arm in, it needs to be basically at the right height as if it was on the ground. So what I did before I took this one out was I just made a bit of a mark here on the shock, so I know that when I bolt it back up, it needs to be roughly that level there. Otherwise, these rubbers are going to be sort of under strain, and it's not really where they want to be. So just a tip. Definitely pointing in the right direction. I'd say that's pretty successful. Okay, so here are all the things that were actually inside the car, and I think whoever took the car apart did an amazing job, because they've included all the nuts, bolts and screws, but also the broken bits from the bumper, which means we can actually repair this bumper. I know it looks pretty bad, but I've seen worse and repaired worse. Other bits and pieces, these are the sideboards that they sort of removed, I guess, to see if there's any chassis damage, and thankfully there wasn't, so they didn't write it off. The headrest, yay! I'm so glad, because when I first saw the car there was no headrest, and I thought, oh my goodness, I've got to find one of those. Got the radiator overflow, got a support that goes behind the guard liner, which is over here, which is awesome. Got a broken guard. Now, I think that's probably too far gone. It's going to take a lot of work to sort of bang that out, so I think we might just go with a replacement guard. Over here, smashed up headlight, there's no recovering that one. This is the radiator support, the plastic bit, which is missing. So it's actually two parts of this. This part here is steel, and it's plastic, and so it's actually bonded there in the factory. So we might be able to rebond this and repair any broken bits that are snapped off if they've been included, which would be excellent, because getting a radiator support these days is a little bit tricky. Interesting stuff from the car. Obviously believed in hydration. Post Maloney air freshener, Snoop Dogg air freshener, some sort of like a Skull and Rose air freshener, leave sooner, drive slower, live longer air freshener, body warmer, Fruju air freshener, Blue V air freshener, a fork just in case you needed to have some rice on the drive, a pen, balloon, tiny scissors, some weird jewellery, a couple of batteries and 40 cents, more air fresheners.
This is the upper side member on the left side. So when we compare it to the one on the right, a little bit funky and needs to be straightened out. So first thing we want to do is get some vice grips and start to get that upper seam in the right direction. Got to basically work it piece by piece, not sort of rushing it or doing it all in one go. Just making sure that we're working it all the way from the back of the car to the front of the car. Eventually it'll start to all straighten out and look a lot like the counterpart on the left hand side of the vehicle. In order to get that side member in the right shape, I've had to use Mr. Pipe to sort of just ram in there and get that shape looking good again. Putting on some scrap steel, I was able to get the radiator support mounts to the right height on both sides.
This radiator support that we've started to bend back into shape, a large section of it has been broken off, and so this is plastic, this is steel, and so basically there's a bond there. So as the impact came through, g'day mate, it's actually snapped this right off. Before we start doing measurements to get this all straightened out into the right shape, we're going to do some repairs on some of these cracked bits, and there's another piece here which needs to go back on. So we'll do the best we can to sort of get that all sorted out, make it one piece again. Looking at this bonnet, there is quite a bit of deformation in here, and this line here should be actually pretty straight, and so that's actually buckled up. This is the real reason why that rubber is actually sitting high. It's because that whole section has been, as this came down, this has pulled that section up there. So if you look at this one here, it is quite a bit, it looks quite a bit sort of, you know, more north than the other one. These are actually a bit of a pig to repair, and so I've actually found an alternative. So this bad boy here, there's a bit of history to this actual bonnet. Back in January of 2023, there was some huge floods in Auckland, and there were hundreds and hundreds, probably actually there were thousands of cars which were written off because they were, you know, they all went underwater and stuff. If you want to see a story about a flood damaged car that was brought back to life, I'm putting the link up on the screen. It's one of my other videos if you're interested. Hell of a job. But anyways, it's got a nice algae patina here. It's been sitting there for a long time. The rest of the car sort of had quite a bit of mud on it. But other than the algae, it's in pretty good nick. So let's get that one on. Right, last thing you want to do is to take that bottom one off, and then it flies out and cracks the windscreen. That would really suck. pretty good. So as we're actually doing up these bolts here, we want to make sure that we actually... So basically when we come in here, we want to make sure we kind of line up with, you know, some form of a hinge mark there. Even if it was from the other car, it'll get us pretty spot on. Now everything's buttoned up in place, nice and lined up. We're going to just close it for the first time. Got to be really careful when you do this, just in case you've got it out of place and you end up going crunchy on something. So not too bad. I'll have to move it around a little bit just to sort of get it lining up a bit better, but not too bad. I actually can't wait to give this thing a decent wash. Too bad. I haven't bolted it up or anything. So far, so good. A small bit there. So I just need to sort of just bring that around a little bit. I think once she's bolted in place, it'll be okay. It'll bring that corner down. So not a bad start. Quite often what happens when these cars get hit in the front, these wheel liners or guard liners will get ripped. And in this case, exactly what's happened to this one here. It's ripped. It is made of some sort of like a fiber, compressed fiber, cardboard sort of material. But, you know, it can be repaired. And I'll take you through those steps right now. The first thing I do is get a drill and, you know, small drill bit. I don't know, like 3 or 4 mil, something like that. And some of these really small cable ties. And so what I do is basically just go all the way along on either side. Oopsies. And so I've made 2 holes there on either side of the rip. So what I do is just poke it through. And this side here is the side that goes to the guard, so it's not going to be seen or anything like that. And so I just feed that back through, tighten it up. Basically what we're going to do is we're going to fill that line all the way up with cable ties on either side. And once we've done that, we'll get some black sealant and run along there and on the inside as well. You'll never know the difference. Right, now that we have a line of cable ties up here, we just snip off the ends. Okay, and once we've done that, we get some black MS sealant, and then basically we're just going to run it all the way along here. Okay, grab a rubber glove and just basically just push it into the seam here. Don't forget that end bit. Okay, once this actually dries, that'll be really strong, probably just as strong as the original piece of material, to be honest, because it's not that strong to be fair, but this will definitely sort that out, and we're able to use this piece again.